Hey, it's Lockie here from Coast Watch Football. After a tightly contested opening round of the A-League season, it's time now to preview round 2. Kicking off on Friday night, it's Western United hosting Perth Glory at Amy Park. And the matchups between these sides were hotly contested from last season. High-scoring affairs, of course, one of the games of the season from last year. Down in Geelong, the 5-4 victory to Western United. And later on in the season, Glory picking up a 3-0 win at home. This is going to be a really fascinating game to watch. Perth Glory showed really good signs in their game against Adelaide United. Fornaroli's looking as good as ever. Some of the younger players performed really well, and Bert Gilroy and Luke Bodner. But likewise for Western United, even though they did lose out to Melbourne Victory 1-0 in the opening weekend, they showed really good signs as well. Neil Kilkenny getting involved. Of course, he'll be coming up against his former side in this game, so that'll be an interesting one to watch. The real question mark for me heading into this game is in the striker department for both sides. Is Prijovic going to start for Western United? I think he should. He's come on for a couple cameo appearances in the FFA Cup a couple weeks ago, and of course he came on late on against Melbourne Victory. I think he should get the start ahead of Wenzel Halls because I think he's got the potential to be a really prolific goal scorer at A-League level. And similarly, Daniel Sturridge. I'm sure everyone would love to see Daniel Sturridge in this game. I'm going to say that he starts off the bench again, but hopefully gets much more minutes on the park this time around. But a key battle in this game for me comes on the right side for Perth Glory and the left side for Western United. I thought Ben Garuccio coming from left back looked really dangerous for Western United, was getting involved in attack at times. And Bert Gilroy, he made it into the team of the week for me. I was really impressed with him. Had a fantastic goal, which was unfortunately for him disallowed against Adelaide United. The battle between those two guys could be really, really interesting. You know, who's going to be on the front foot pushing the opposite number back? That'll be an interesting one to watch. But my prediction for this one, I think it's going to be close. I think it will be goals. I think it's going to be 2-1 to Western United. And of course, I'll be doing a watch along for this game on YouTube. So make sure you head down to the description if you want to jump into the link for the watch along on Friday night. On Saturday afternoon, Wellington Phoenix hosts the Central Coast Mariners down at Wollongong. And this again should be a fascinating clash because Wellington Phoenix, a side that a lot of people predicted to potentially struggle this season, and they showed, they were solid against Macarthur FC. They were creating chances and defensively were pretty sound. But the Central Coast Mariners, of course, got off to a fantastic start in the F3 Derby, winning 2-1. But looking at last season's matchup between these two sides down in Wollongong, of course, the Mariners won down there 2-0. But Phoenix picked up a win against the Mariners in the opening rounds of the season, 2-1 at Central Coast Stadium. A key battle in this game for me, of course, Storm Roux coming up against a lot of his all-whites teammates in Wellington Phoenix. But Storm Roux's going to have his hands full with the likes of Rennie Piscopo. Piscopo, one of Phoenix's most dangerous players. And, Storm Roux got caught out a couple times in the F3 Derby. Overall, he did have a solid game, but he's really going to have to be on top of his defensive game if he's going to keep a dangerous player like Piscopo quiet. If Phoenix get firing early in this game, it could be worrying signs for the Central Coast Mariners, but I'm backing my team to get the win in this game. I think it'll be close again. I'm going to say 2-1 to Mariners. There's two massive clashes in Saturday night's prime time simultaneous kickoffs. Adelaide United hosting Melbourne City. This one for me is the game of the round. It's a really, really hard one to predict. Melbourne City have lost their last 4 games away to Adelaide United, and for the Reds, they're always strong at home, especially early on in the season. They'll want to get off to winning ways in front of their home fans, even if it is against the reigning champions. For me, some of the key battles come in the middle of the park, and it's the two holding midfielders that are going to be key for Adelaide United. Isaias and Dorigo, two really hard-working players, up against Connor Metcalfe and Berenguer, two players who really provide a threat coming up from midfield. We saw against Brisbane Roar, when Melbourne City are controlling the ball and pushing into the opposition half, Metcalfe and Berenguer push right up, so it's really going to force Isaias and Dorigo to sit back a little bit and make sure they contain those guys. And same thing for Stephen Mork and Aidan O'Neill. Mork is really going to have to try and limit O'Neill's time on the ball. So if Adelaide can win that battle in the middle of the park, they could certainly give themselves a chance to get something out of this game. I think it's going to be a close one. I'm going to go for a 2-all draw. This could be an epic one. But kicking off at the same time, it's Sydney FC hosting Macarthur FC, the Sky Blues' first home game of the season. And, the matches between these two sides last season were pretty mixed. Sydney FC getting a win down there in Campbelltown, but of course Macarthur picked up a 1-0 win away to Sydney FC last season. So, Macarthur certainly do have the potential to surprise in this game and get a win against, what is still a very strong Sydney FC squad. But for me, Sydney FC should be going into this game as favourites. A key battle for me is going to be, two of the best players in the A-League, in Luke Bratton and De Vere, two fantastic players. Luke Bratton was missing for the Sydney Derby, of course, through suspension, But if he is shifted straight back into the side, he's going to have his hands full with someone like Ulysses De Villa. De Villa getting really involved in MacArthur's game against Phoenix in the opening round. If De Villa can work his magic and get around Luke Bratton and unlock the likes of, Lockie Rose, Craig Noone, Danny De Silva, it's a really potent attack that MacArthur are running at the moment. They could certainly provide a lot of danger for the Sky Blues. But in my opinion, I think Sydney FC will be too strong in this game. I'm going to go 3-1 to the Sky Blues. On Sunday, Arvo, it is Melbourne Victory's first home game of the season as they host Brisbane Roar. Brisbane once again playing down there at AAMI Park after they lost out to Melbourne City last Friday night. This should be a fascinating game as well. I think Melbourne Victory, they showed that they're going to be really competitive this season after their, it was a gritty win against Western United, but defensively really solid. Roderick Miranda, Brendan Hamill in defence, Ryan Marchand playing as a holding midfielder. They look really, really solid in the middle of the park. And then up top as well have, dangerous plays in Economides, D'Agostino, and, whether Margiotta comes into the starting lineup as well. An interesting stat heading into this game that's worth noting is that Brisbane have actually won their last 3 meetings between these two sides, especially after considering that second half that they had against Melbourne City. Brisbane will certainly be aiming to get something out of this game. Melbourne Victory, I expect them to be strong at home this season. A key battle for me is going to come in defence for Victory and an attack for Brisbane. Brisbane, they were showing in attack, they look really fluid this season. Cyrus Demi and Nikola Milojuznic providing the attacking threat for Brisbane Roar in that opening round game. And, Luka Ivanovic came off the bench and scored a goal. So they've got the threat there, and it's all about that pace. Someone like Jay O'Shea, he's going to be looking to slot in passes for those attacking players to get in behind Victory's defence. So, the likes of Roderick Miranda, Brendan Hamill are really going to have to be on top of their game. Likewise, Jason Guerrier and Davidson. But I reckon Melbourne Victory might just be too strong in the end. I can see them winning 2-1 at home. And for the final matchup of the round, and I will be doing a watch along as well for this one at 6 o'clock on Sunday. It's Western Sydney Wanderers hosting Newcastle Jets. And again, Jets, another side who really showed how competitive they're going to be this season. Even though they lost out to the Mariners in the F3 derby, they did look dangerous. Daniel Pena in that attacking midfield role. I was impressed with Mikkel Detzi and Olivier Bamal off the left wing as well for the Jets. They're certainly going to, create some havoc against some opposition teams in the A-League this season. But Western Sydney Wanderers looked really defensively solid in the Sydney derby. Reece Williams for me was the player of the week in the opening round. A fascinating stat heading into this game though is that Western Sydney Wanderers actually haven't beaten the Jets at home since 2017. It's been 4 years. Wanderers are really going to be hoping to try and turn that stat around. But the key battle in this game comes for me again in midfield. Ugarkovic, I thought he was really, really impressive in the Sydney derby alongside Terry Antonis. Those two holding midfielders are really going to have to be on the game to contain Daniel Pena. He's looking really dangerous. He was looking threatening all game in the F3 derby, getting involved in passages of play. And of course, we all remember that free kick that Pena scored in the FFA Cup just 2 weeks ago. So that's going to be a fascinating battle. Score prediction for this one though, I'm going to go for a win for Western Sydney Wanderers. They are looking really dangerous this season. Newcastle Jets could certainly get on the score sheet. I'm going to go 2-1 Wanderers. And all of my score predictions for this opening round are really close, but that once again just goes to show how close the A-League is at the moment. There weren't necessarily any teams from round one who really blew us away. So it's going to take a few weeks until we really see some teams, step up and who's really going to lead the league this season. So potentially we'll see some teams really make a statement in round 2, and I think we will. But as always, make sure to drop your predictions down in the comments. Would love to hear your scoreline predictions for round 2 in the A-League. If you have enjoyed this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you left a like. It helps me out heaps. If you want to stay up to date to all of the A-League content dropping here on Coast Football, make sure you hit subscribe. See you in the next one.